Hello everyone, welcome. I am Superplayer 301 and we are here starting our road to E3. Now first of all, this is something I wanted to do. I've been planning to start it for a long time, but for whatever reason, mostly because I have a job and I have to go to work all the time, I wasn't able to start it when I wanted to, but we're getting started right now to make up for it. So what is my road to E3? Well, what I'm going to be doing is E3 is just around the corner. It's creeping up fast, it's almost here. And so what I plan on doing is I want to give a preview of E3. So here's how we're going to do this. Every week I'm going to introduce or talk about a company that plans on doing a press conference at E3. And we're going to go in order roughly of what the press conferences probably will be in. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to start with EA. Originally we were going to start with Microsoft, but then EA came out of nowhere and decided they're going to do theirs on the Saturday before E3. And I know we're going to get to EA playing while we're talking about it. We're going to start with EA. Then we're going to go to Microsoft, Bethesda. Then we're going to talk about Ubisoft, Sony. Then we're going to go to Nintendo. And then I'm going to do a last episode just discussing games from publishers in general that I'm excited about to hear about from E3. We have a long way to go to get there, and I'm going to be putting out at least one episode a week. And if while I'm putting episodes out, another company just announces their press conferences, because some companies don't announce theirs until like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks before E3 actually occurs. So if that happens, then we'll work it in there. If I have to make an emergency episode, then that's how we'll do it. But I want to have everything finished by June 9th before the E3 press conference. And I don't know if I'm going to stream the E3 press conferences yet. I'm still kind of deciding on it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just live tweet it. I'm still thinking about it. But anyway, without further ado, let's start our journey, our road to E3 in a little place known as Tiburon, Florida. Now, I know what you're wondering. Why wouldn't I go to EA's actual headquarters? Because Tiburon is the coolest headquarters, because it's where they make Madden at. And let's discuss EA. Now, of course, most people, I know you're going to say, but EA's not at E3. They have EA Play. Listen, EA Play is nothing more than EA deciding they wanted more space than they could get on the floor at E3. You know, it's an event that's like down the street from where E3 is going to be. It's the exact same time frame, so they're planning on the majority of their audience that's coming to this event will also be going to E3. So with that being said, I don't consider EA Play to be its own event. I just consider it to be a kickoff to E3 with very exclusive clientele. Now, here's how I plan on structuring each episode. I'm going to talk about the previous year, how I think the company did, not really rate it, but give it kind of like just here's how I think they did. Here's how I think they did. I'm going to discuss I'm going to discuss this year, what they have to do, I think, to do better than last year, or to improve on what they did last year. And you know what we're most likely gonna see, or what's confirmed. And then I'm going to do my 3 bold predictions for each event. So let's get started with EA, as I've already been talking about. So number 1, last year's EA press conference was actually a bit of a downer because it wasn't that good. Last year EA came out and they didn't really do much. You know, they spent most of the time talking about Titanfall 2, which Titanfall 2 was fun, and the preview for it was good, but then they spent about 15-20 minutes talking about sports games, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I love sports games. I love FIFA, I love Madden, I hope NBA Live improves, I love UFC, I love all sports games. It's one of my favorite genres of video games. But they spent way too much time talking about it. I mean, you don't really have to sell Madden, you know? And yet they spent a lot of time talking about it. And then they also talked about their new esports stuff going on. They spent a lot of time on that. Then they talked about Mass Effect Andromeda. And it was really annoying how they talked about Mass Effect Andromeda, because they did like a 1.5 minute, 2-minute trailer. And throughout that whole trailer, they talked about, I don't know, they didn't really show gameplay during the trailer. It was kind of an annoyance. It was like maybe 15 seconds of a 2-minute trailer was actual gameplay. So then they moved on from Titanfall 2, they moved on to EA Originals, and it was like they tried to pretty much capture the year before in 2015 when they announced Unravel, which was the most adorable game ever. I love Unravel. I still haven't beaten it though, because it's actually kind of tough, to be real honest. And it's like, I think it's called O or something like that, and it didn't have the same appeal to me as Unravel did. You know, it's interesting. I don't even know if it's, let me tell you, here's how interested I was in O. I'm not even sure if the game is out yet. I probably should have done the research to figure out if it was out, but I didn't. And then they moved on to Star Wars, and listen, I'm all for developer diaries of them telling me about how excited they are to work on the Star Wars games. But then they went on to show almost nothing new, you know? I mean, they showed like maybe 3-4 seconds of actual gameplay of a new Star Wars game we've never heard of. It was just, and then the saving grace of the show was Battlefield 1, which they had a great presentation on Battlefield 1. And they had like the huge tournament, they had like celebrities and stuff, and Snoop Dogg was like smoking out Jamie Foxx. It was pretty cool. But overall, I didn't enjoy their press conference. You know, I didn't enjoy it. I thought they could have done a better job. I felt like they could have talked about more. Oh, it was called Fee. I'm sorry, not O. It was called Fee. Anyway, I felt like they could have done a better job. I felt like it was a very lazy conference where they just kind of said, you know what EA is. You know, if I had to grade it, C-, maybe C+ because of Battlefield 1. So let's move on to 2017. What's changed in 2017? Well, Peter Moore no longer works at EA, which is sad. From what most people are saying, he was a great guy. And honestly, the way they can improve on last year is just show actual games, which they didn't do. You know, they didn't show real games. I think, talk about sports, of course, they're going to talk about sports games. There's no way around it. They're going to do it. So talk about sports games like you normally would, but spend more time talking about games that, you know, most other people who are into sports games are going to want to see. You know, I say honestly, there should be a lot of Star Wars games at this event. There really should be. I mean, we know Battlefront 2 is going to be there, but we also know there's like 8 different companies working on Star Wars games right now of some kind. And so they really should be talking about that more. They really should be giving more, you know, time to that. I mean, do you know how much money Star Wars makes companies? They really should spend more time actually talking about Star Wars. And honestly, here's the hardest thing about EA. I don't know what else they have. I mean, we know they're going to talk about sports games, like I said. We know they're going to re-reveal NBA Live for the first time in a long time because, boy, oh boy, has 2K been whipping EA when it comes to basketball games. There might be a new UFC game. Maybe they'll talk about golf games again. I don't know. They'll probably talk about some new DLC for Titanfall 2 or Battlefield 1. But honestly, I think most of this conference should be talking about Star Wars. You know, I mean, they've had enough time to develop these games. They should have something to show for it. And also, another game. Remember a couple of years ago, you had to Google it, where they announced we're working on like an Assassin's Creed type game, you know, a big open world type video game. And they have not talked about it since, because they said it's going to be out like, what, 2018 or something like that, a long time. Maybe they'll talk about that game, you know, I mean, because it didn't sound like it was a Star Wars game. They would have just said it was a Star Wars game if that's what it was. It felt like it was more along the lines of an actual new IP of some sort. Oh, I almost forgot. And BioWare working on a new IP, and they keep saying this is a brand new BioWare game. This isn't a sequel to Mass Effect Andromeda. This isn't a Star Wars game. This is just an original IP coming out of BioWare. So it's gonna be interesting to see that. But honestly, other than that, we don't know what's going to be discussed at all. So honestly, the only way they improve, I think, more Star Wars and more actual gameplay. You know, as much as we love to see a bunch of people who are working on games talk to us about working on games, I would kind of prefer to see actual gameplay this year. And so I think that's number one. Number one, more gameplay, more gameplay, more gameplay. Number two, spend less time on sports and esports. You know, I mean, talk about it, of course, you know, take a little bit of time, and they're going to, no matter what I say, they're going to talk about Madden, FIFA, NHL, and we know they're going to talk about NBA Live. UFC and golf are just guesses of mine that are going to be talked about, but, you know, talk about those games, give them a little bit of, but don't talk about them so much. You know, Madden is not a game you have to sell. You're not going to be pulling in a new audience if you spend a bunch of time talking about Madden, you know. And honestly, that's what I think they need to do. And three, walk in there like an underdog. Don't walk in there like, you know, we're EA. You know, come on, you know us. We're EA. Come on. walk in there like you're a new company we've never heard of. Give me something I don't know. Okay, and now for my 3 bold predictions. 1, there will be 2 new Star Wars games revealed. 2 new Star Wars games revealed. Not with release dates, and maybe not even necessarily gameplay, but 2 new Star Wars games that are not Battlefront 2. 2 brand new games. That's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. 2 just completely new games. 2 Star Wars games gonna be revealed. Second bold prediction. I believe, this is just for me though, Madden, I believe, is gonna be completely revamped. I think they're gonna completely revamp connected franchises. If it was, I'd even go as far as to say they're going to break connected franchises up and go back to more of a rooted franchise mode. If it was me, that's what I think is going on. I think, man, you're going to see a huge improvement over last year. You're going to see a much more, because they've already said Madden's going to switch over to the Frostbite engine, and they've already said it's going to have a mode similar to the Journey in FIFA 17, and so we know that's going to be in it. And 3, my third poll prediction is we're going to get a completely new game out of left field. No one even guessed, like completely out of there. Nothing. It's not going to be not this Bioware IP. I mean, a game that no one's rumoring, no one's even guessing about, like something completely new that none of us even thought about. And I think it's going to be this open world game they keep talking about. Not with a release date or not even with a real gameplay, but like a cinematic cutscene where they just give us a little hint, But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that EA, I think they have more stuff to work with this year. I feel like the reason they didn't talk about Star Wars as much is because most of the Star Wars games they're working on weren't at a point where you could actually discuss them in depth, where you could actually show off a long gameplay clip and it actually have stuff in it, but I think it's going to be different this time. I think we're going to see a big change and a big shift in tone from last year, where it's going to be less cinematics and less guess what's coming soon, and more of here's what's coming and here it is. Now we're going to show you some stuff. Get excited, At least that's what I hope. Maybe I'm wrong. But honestly, it's not going to take a lot to do better than last year. I think last year, between them and Bethesda, which we'll get to Bethesda a little later, I think that there's so much room for improvement between both of them, and I think they're probably going to do better, hopefully. But that's just me. And so that's the end of our first episode of the road to E3. We stopped in Tiburon, Florida, and next week we're going to fly up to Redmond, Washington and see what the Xbox crew has to do. We're going to be talking about games. We're going to be talking about Scorpio. We're going to be talking about how they improve on what I think was an extremely solid, if not very good, great even, press conference from last year. How do they improve on that, and how do they not bore everyone to death talking about Scorpio? But until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Superplayer301. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Superplayer301 here. Just the end card, this is just the beginning. I'm definitely gonna have one a week. I'm just having fun here, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry, that was Sprite. So if you'd like it if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you didn't, give me your commentary or your opinions in the comments on what you think EA is going to do this year. And if you want to see more stuff from me, you could subscribe, tell your friends, share it, things of that nature. It's, it's small, but it helps, and I just want to, I know I'm not like a huge YouTuber, but, I enjoy doing this. So for me, it's not about the views or the likes or anything like that. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.